At last, it's arrived. This is the Delite5 from Riese and Müller. It's fitted with the motor gearbox unit from Pinion. I'm Dan from Edimo Electric Bikes, and this is my review. So today I've come to lovely Dartmoor to do a review of this Delite5 GT Pinion. The weather looks like it's holding out. It's springtime, we've got a bit of sunshine. I can see some grey clouds over in the distance, but I've had a quick ride on it and now I'm ready to run through it and tell you what I really think of this bike. The Delite5 is a full suspension bike, so we've got front and rear suspension. Now the front suspension comes in the form of this lovely Fox AWL 34 boost suspension. Rear suspension then is a Fox Float Rhythm shock that's sitting in here. Rear travel at the back wheel on this one, we're talking about 110 mil. So 120 at the front, 110 on the back. That's plenty of travel for really sort of road, off-road, trekking type riding. Maybe not downhill riding, but anything, definitely this sort of stuff, it's going to be absolutely perfect for that. So that's your suspension provided by Fox. It used to be an upgrade to go for the Fox suspension on top of the standard Suntour suspension. It was adding around about £560 onto the price. So all that is going to be included in the price of the bike. So that's an incredible upgrade, and to get that as standard is pretty good. So you'll also see on this bike, it comes with a dropper seat post. So this is an X-Fusion Manic dropper seat post. It's 100 mil travel. So this adjustable part is 120 mil and it drops to 100 mil on the 47 centimeter frame. Nice thing about this, it obviously gives you the adjustment so that when you're on the road and riding, you can lift your saddle up and you can ride with full leg extension. And then when you come to a stop, you drop your seat post down and you can touch the floor again. So it's nice sort of stability that you're going to get there. Also, if you're riding off-road, then when you're doing some of those climbs, then you've got that nice full leg extension. But when you're dropping down some of the descents, it's nice to get the saddle out of the way so you can get a bit more movement over and around the bike. Again, that dropper post used to be an option as part of the GX pack. This is now included as standard on this bike. So yeah, by default, you're going to get this. Underneath the left-hand controller here, sort of hidden away, there's a little lever that you put your thumb on. It works very similar, I guess, to an office chair that if you press the lever, this is now released. So any pressure on it, you can move it down. Obviously, if you move up, it's going to move up again. If you let go of the lever at any point, I just have, then it locks it into the place you want it. So very similar to an office chair. You're going to choose any position that you want to put that in. That's standard technology for a dropper post. Nice thing is the cable is routed through the frame, so it comes in from this side over here, follows down behind the battery, all around the back, comes up into the top bottom of the seat post tube and hooks onto the bottom of this here. The other nice thing about this bike, so this is starting sort of a bit of a change for Riese and Müller. They used to go for these welds everywhere. They loved these welds and they were incredibly good quality, and everybody would refer to, looking at these, go, oh, lovely welds you've done there, blah, 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 all that stuff. They're starting to move away from that. So we've got these sort of gravity cast pieces that are going on. So all this frame now looks like it's just one big piece of frame all molded together. Essentially, it's probably three different pieces of frame. We've got a top tube, we've got a down tube, and then we've got this front end piece that's in here. They will be welded together, but then they've ground down these welds here to sort of bring them into one piece. But you get this lovely sort of liquid looking smoothness to the whole of the frame. Moving towards the back again. Okay, so we've still got the most important thing about a Delite is the racks. So these big racks here, now they're capable of carrying 27 kilograms and they have an MIK adapter in there, so you can click various sort of accessories, bags, panniers and stuff into it, or you can go for something like a Ortley pannier bag that will clip on here and rest on here. But 27 kilograms is the maximum of this. But the really important thing about all the racks on these designs of bikes, so that's the Delite5, the Super Delite5 and the Homage 5 when it comes out as well. all the weight is transferred straight onto the frame. So we don't have the weight sitting on the rear swing arm, which means that that rear swing arm can actually move around as you're going, and it's not restricted in the way it can move. So you've got full travel on it with all the weight sitting back on the frame. Same with the front one. Obviously the front one comes straight onto the frame as well. So all the weight is on the main part of the frame, giving free movement for the suspension on the front and the rear. So moving further back again on this bike towards the rear swing arm, they've made a couple of changes on this. So let's talk about the first one, the chainstay. This bar here, this is now shorter on this bike, which is bringing the bike to be a little bit more compact. That means it's far more agile when you're riding around, and it does actually ride really, really well. And the other thing is they've done away with the sliders. So there was a complicated little setup in the back there with a couple of bolts that would allow you to move the wheel in and out to get more tension onto the belt that's there. That's gone. We've now just got a boost axle straight through the back, and because there's no gearbox, no derailleur or anything, it's just straight onto the hub. So nice clean lines in the back there and no weight being thrown around at all. They've also done some nice sort of integration here with the design. So you can see this is moving now in and out of the frame. Obviously, this bike comes with a Gates carbon belt drive on it. Nice and simple, low maintenance, no oiling required. It's a direct drive from one sprocket on the front to one sprocket on the rear. These things will do around about 10,000 kilometers. You do have to do some maintenance and checking. So the sprockets will wear, they will grind down in the dust, and depending on the type of terrain that you're going to ride on. So it is going to be important to replace these sprockets front and rear. But yeah, you can get up to 10,000 kilometers out of one of these belts with not too much problem at all, but you still need to make sure that you are doing your maintenance on it. Another really good point, actually, more on the design of this bike. So down at the bottom end here, cranks and bottom bracket. It's a problem with all e-bikes that are out there, really, is that the bottom brackets tend to be quite low and the cranks quite long. Now that means, especially on something that's a full suspension bike, as you try to ride some stuff, you find it dips and you find you've got a pedal strike, so your cranks are hitting the ground as you're going along. Now, Riese and Müller have tried to overcome this slightly by lifting the bottom bracket up and also putting shorter cranks on it. So it just gives a little bit more clearance on the bike. The lights on this bike, they're made by Supernova. This is the Supernova Mini 99 Pro 25, I think what it's called. It's an incredible light, and it's the light that they've been using on a lot of their bikes, whether that's the cargo bikes, the Delites, all their top end bikes are using this light. It comes as standard with a main beam and a dipped function in it. Really, really powerful, great for riding all night, but also most people just leave it on continuously because it's running off this 800 watt-hour battery and it doesn't use a huge amount of power, and it allows you to be seen really well. If you decide to then ride on into the night, which you probably will do if you're buying a trekking sort of touring bike like this, it really lights up everything around you, very similar to a car or a motorbike light, so you can really see well through the night. The other end of this light, we've got a rear light made by Supernova. It's called something like a TL3 light, I think it is. When you pull the brakes, it must have an accelerometer in it. And as you slow down, it recognizes that deceleration, and then it lights up. So people behind you can see then that you're braking. If you brake really hard, it sees it's a fast deceleration and it actually pulses the light as well. So people know that you're rapidly stopping at that point. So really nice. The lack of moving parts in that is absolutely brilliant. And they come again as standard. So you've got this big old main beam light, a proper rear light with brake light integrated into it as well. So really nice option again there from Riese and Müller. Okay, so let's move a little bit further back and talk about something really exciting on this bike. So this bike is fitted with the Pinion MGU motor. Now this version of it is the E1.12, so this is the 12-speed motor, and this is the 25 km/h version. So this is the legal UK version of it. They obviously make another one, or not obviously, they do make another one of this bike, of this motor, and it's called the high-speed version of it. So high-speed versions, let's get this out the way straight away, they're not legal in the UK unless you register them and insure them, and then you wear a motorcycle helmet and everything to go with it. We would recommend probably not going for that because it's a lot of hassle, and actually it's really nice to have a bike that you can ride on bridleways and all those fun cross-country paths where you're actually not allowed to ride a motorbike. So I would suggest definitely go for the UK spec bike. It's a bike, you know, when you're paying this money, it's a bike that you're going to own for the next 5 to 10 years. So don't ruin it by getting something that you're always conscious that is not quite legal. Stats on the Pinion gearbox. The standard UK legal version of it. It's 600 watts of peak power. It's 85 Newton meters of torque that can be geared to 160 Newton meters in the lower gears at the back wheel. So the actual stats of the power and the torque on this is very similar to the Bosch Performance Line CX motors. There's 12 gears in there. It's a range of 600%. The nearest gearbox unit, again, the roll-off type thing, is 540, so we've pushed it a little bit further. The roll-off does have 14 gears in that 540, where this has 12 in that 600, so there's slightly bigger steps on it. On this one, we've got 2 thumb shifters under the right-hand grip that's here. We've got an upshift and we've got a downshift. Now, they are electronic shifters, so there's no mechanical movement to them. They're sending a signal to the gearbox to say to change, and they have a click to them as well. So you've got that nice feel when you change gears. So it feels very similar, like on some of the Shimano systems, the derailleur systems, where you're pushing and clicking underneath the handlebars and you're physically feeling that change. You're getting the same on these buttons as well. These buttons also do something else. They are the way you switch this into the auto mode. So by pressing and holding one of them, you'll switch on auto mode, and then by pressing and holding it again, you'll be switching off auto mode. There's something else that the back button does that I just can't remember at the moment. It did something pretty special. I'll probably think of it later and I'll tell you if I get to it. The other thing it does is when you're in the auto mode, 2 auto modes, auto and auto pro, but when you're in the basic auto mode, you can also use these to change the cadence, so the speed at which you're pedaling. So you set up in auto mode how fast you want to pedal and it will do all the gear changing for you. You would change it with these shifters. So auto will allow you to just set a cadence. So say I want to pedal at an RPM of 70, so 70 revolutions of the pedal per minute. That's what your cadence is. And then it will just lock it at that. And no matter how you change the gradient that you're riding on, it's always going to keep your cadence to the same speed. So it's going to essentially change gear for you continuously, all up and down through those 12 gears that are in there. Really nice, very simple version of an automatic gearbox. The next step up is then to go for the Auto Pro, which is included on this as standard. Auto Pro is really clever. So what it does is, again, you have a cadence in there that you're set for, so set 70 RPM, 70 RPM. And when you start pedaling, it's just going to change gear as it does in auto. Now, if the thing it can't do, it can't see ahead, it can't predict what's coming, but you might see there's an enormous climb coming up. And actually, before you hit that, you want to get your cadence up, ready to really power up that hill. So what you can do is you can override it and hit your trigger shifters to knock those gears down. Now, the clever part is that when you do that, it recognizes that you want to lift your cadence up, your speed of pedaling. So you hit it down a couple of gears, it now knows that you're at a different cadence and it's going to hold that new cadence. So it will allow then to go all the way back up there, allow you to climb all the way up that hill at a far higher cadence. When you get to the top, you've got a choice. As you level out, you can change up and it will recognize that you're changing gear, or this is the other function that I forgot what the lever was for just now. If you press and hold the back lever, it resets it back to the cadence you originally had. So if you know that you just like riding at 70 RPM, press and hold that and it's always going to set it back to it. So that feature in there of the auto gearbox is insanely good, and I've been riding it around here doing a lot of things over the last couple of days. It does seem that every time we go out I have to give the bike to somebody else, but I've had a go on it now. That is really good. I do definitely use the override. I do change my cadence as I'm coming to different hills and stuff, and I find sometimes I can catch the bike out if I suddenly hit a hill and I just need to hammer down those gears quickly. But again, the gear change on it is so smooth, it doesn't matter if I override it and hit down the gears. You know, it's still going to be a great ride. Going up to the handlebars on this bike. Now, this is where things start to get complicated. There's quite a lot of different buttons. Now this one is called the, I think it's called the remote or something. So it's the most basic version of the controls on the left-hand side. There's an upgraded version you can get that has a little LED screen on it. And then you could go for an SP Connect for your phone. So a click, a mount for your phone in the middle. But this version that we've got is the basic buttons, but with then the comfort display. So the big display in the middle. Obviously, plus and minus buttons are there to change your assistance level on the bike. It works, again, very similar to the Bosch systems that we already know. So it has an Eco, I'm reading it off because I forget the name, Eco, Flow, Flex and Fly. So very similar to on our Bosch systems where we had Eco, Tour, Sport and Turbo. This has just the same sort of settings, but they call them different names. And the assistance levels and multipliers that go with them, the Eco is very much about a 50% assistance. So if you put in, I don't know, 50 Newton meters of torque, it will put in 25 Newton meters of torque. And the Flex is then essentially a 340% assistance. So it pushes it right up above and puts 3 times the amount of effort that you put in. So again, the levels that are in there can be changed. You can adapt those within the app. I haven't attached my app, so I will do you a greater review of that in the next couple of weeks once I've really gone into detail on it and set it up. But you can go in and you can change the way that it provides the power, the maximum power, the gradient that it comes in and stuff. But essentially the way it comes as standard is Eco is a linear assistance level just going up, so it's a straight multiplier going through. Then there's the next two, Flow and Flex, are dynamic ones that sort of change working on how much power you're putting in. It will put in more power, whereas the lower power levels it will put significantly less, not on a linear but on a an exponential curve that's going in there. And then the Fly one at the top, that exponential curve is a lot steeper, so it's far earlier to the beginning, so it very quickly gets up to that maximum 340% of assistance. So all of that can be changed through the app, which is a really nice thing. In the past, I've found when I have gone and changed all those things and put in different settings and changed around, I've just made it worse. So I've ended up leaving it. But I'm sure there's people who will have specific uses for this bike in mind, and they'll want to make sure that it's doing exactly what they want. So having that flexibility to do that is gonna be absolutely brilliant. There is one other little grey button that's underneath the controller here. That's our walk assist button. All we need to do is click that once, press and hold it, and it comes up with walk mode. Then when we press and hold it, it's going to walk alongside you. You can change the speed of the walk assist. And my colleague AJ in the shop, when we set this up, he set it up to the highest speed, and now I have to run alongside it, which is quite frustrating. So I need to bring that walk speed down again. The other thing that grey button does, this is a little secret, this is a good thing. When you're not in the highest mode, so you're in the Eco, Flow or Flex mode, and you're riding along, say you come to a big hill, if you press and hold that little grey button down there, it gives you a boost. What it essentially does, it gives you all the motor power, so it kicks it up into that fly mode until you let go of it, and then it drops back down again. So it's like a little boost button that's in there, which is quite a handy thing to have. The next thing in here is a lithium-ion battery. It's an 800 watt-hour battery. So when I've been riding this bike in Eco, in the lanes around by my house, with this 800 watt-hour battery fully charged, it's been telling me that I'm going to be getting about 100 miles out of it. That is a fair old distance. I would realistically be thinking, you know, it's 80 miles. That's a long way. A nice ride for me is anywhere between 30, 40 miles, that sort of distance. And we'll find that if I ride it in the fly mode, so the highest power setting that's in there, it says I'm going to get 40 miles out of it. So that allows me to have an awful lot of fun with this bike. If you do want to get some of the higher distances out of it, then start locking out your suspension or pump it up harder before you go out for your ride and just make the bike a little bit more efficient. But still, 40 miles in fly mode is pretty good for me, and I'm happy with that for a ride. If you do need a huge range, then I would say just buy yourself another 800 watt-hour battery, store it in the rear pannier. You're going to get yourself a range then of, you know, so 150, 160 miles on that with no problem at all. Hello. 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 Good dog. Oh, that's nice. Say your ball. One really important thing on this bike, as standard, this is amazing, the amount of things you get on this bike as standard. This bike comes with the Riese and Müller RX chip. Now the RX chip allows this bike to be tracked anywhere using your mobile phone, and also means that it comes fitted with an alarm. Now, we've had this on the Urban 5 Commute when it came in. It's absolutely brilliant. So I've got mine logged to my phone. I can see where it is at any time. And it also has a thing that if somebody moves it, it makes a little tweet so that they know that something is there monitoring them. And if they go to move it off when the alarm's set, the lights will flash and a siren will go off. With the RX chip in Europe, when you read about it, you'll see that Riese and Müller also provide insurance and recovery for the bike as well. That's not something that's available in the UK. So just bear in mind, when you get your RX chip, it's included for free, so you're not going to be paying anything for it. It's coming with the bike. It means that you're going to get a GPS tracker and an alarm on that bike. It's free for the first year. And then after that, I think, I'm probably going to get the numbers wrong again because I'm useless at this. I think it's about £35 a year, and it works out through one of those subscriptions you do in your Google Play or Apple App Store thing, where it comes out at sort of £3 or £4 a month, that sort of number. But it's well worth it. And it's the peace of mind that says you can check where your bike is at any time. This colour is called Amber. It's a gloss finish, and it's a really nice sort of deep pearly browny bronzy colour. I think it's going to probably be the most popular colour. The other colour is called Stone Grey, which is a matte colour, and I guess it's similar to the Urban Grey that we used to have on things like the Delite. It comes in 3 different sizes. It comes in a 47, a 51 centimetre, which is this frame, and a 56 centimetre. I'm 6'1". I'm riding the 51 today, but I feel that I could do with a little bit more space. So the 56 centimetre is the one that I would probably be going for. And that's the one that I'm recommended to go for on the Riese and Müller website as well. Price of this bike, £7,889. Now, for the amount of kit on this bike, I think that's an incredible deal. When you think of the old Delite 4 with the Bosch and the roll-off type equipment, and then boosted up to the Fox Float suspension front and back, we were talking about sort of between £9,000 and £10,000 for that. So to be bringing this complete bike in with the great suspension, with the motor gearbox unit from Pinion as well, and an 800 watt-hour battery, that seems like a pretty good price for this bike. So I think that's about it for this bike. So just a reminder, this is the Delite5 GT Pinion from Riese and Müller. If you do like this bike and you would like to find out more about it, then either drop some questions down to the comments section below or give us a call. And don't forget, we've got 2 more bikes coming up. We've got the Super Delite 5 with the Bosch and the roll-off gearbox, and also the Homage 5 that has every option. So Pinion, Bosch, roll-off, MVO, chain and cassette, all that sort of stuff. We've got videos of those coming up in the next couple of months. So if you want to see those as well, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe.